But for somebody who's an investor, who's there to take up opportunities, this is a brilliant time to buy. This is the best time to buy right now. And even this year and next year, like, you watch the opportunities that come up, like, people are going to panic sell. So if you are an investor, or if you got your head screwed on and be like, I want to get into the property and build some serious wealth, this year, next year, and probably even going into 2025 are the perfect times to snap up properties, because remember, property is not going to make you money like in a year. You have to look at everything over a 10, 15, 20 year cycle. It's the best time to buy.
Don't just talk it, walk it. Walk it zone.
Yeah, so
Just talk it,
I like it. So you work here full time then?
Yeah.
Right.
Office next door. Do a lot of clients online or in person.
You do both, yeah?
Yeah. And then podcast, try and get one a week.
Yeah.
Ibby.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, finally got you. Hey?
Finally. I know. Had a bit of a drama, but, we made it.
Yeah. How long you been living in Manchester?
I'm born in Manchester, bro.
Nice.
Born, raised in Manchester. It's my hometown. I love this place. So, always been in Manchester.
Good stuff. Well, man, I have to say straight away, big admirer of what you do. I love people who are just getting at it.
Yeah.
And promoting it. And in a the same game as me with the mindset. I know you do one of the partners of your company, Brick and Mortar. You're in the property game as well, and other aspects. I've seen that you had a restaurant in the past as well.
Yep.
I love that mentality of just how do I say? So many people pigeonhole themselves, like this is what we are and this is who I am, and they create this identity around it. But I like the fact with you that you're like, you've got many bows to your arrow. Yeah.
Well, firstly, happy to be here. You're doing great things as well.
Thank you, brother. Trying.
So, we're all in the same kind of space, and we just have to keep pushing at it, right? And just keep doing our best. But yeah, I've got a good business experience. I was brought up in a business household, so I think that's where it stemmed from.
Yeah.
So kind of going down the route of just getting a job, a 9 to 5, wasn't really it was an option, but it just didn't cross my mind. And then I just went into the business world heads on, and I spent a lot of time in prison. So when I did come out, I had a short amount of time, and it was just like, I need to get out this quick.
Yeah.
I haven't got time to waste.
100%.
That's how I looked at it. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. And we'll delve into the prison time and everything. And, I've done a little bit of background search on you, and knowing your old man, he's a bit of a grafter too. Like, he's a businessman in the property game. Is that right?
Who, me?
Your dad? Well, you.
Yeah. So my dad was a property developer for 30 years.
Yeah.
And he started off as an estate agent, and then, bought on investors and started developing properties. So as I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, I remember like when I was a little kid going to viewings to houses and developments and looking at this and looking at that. So I think that's where my passion for properties came from.
Yeah.
I always knew something about property, and it was like, I need to do something in here. Just didn't know what. So yeah, I guess, same blood, right?
Yeah.
Same DNA.
That's the one.
So yeah. So that's where my passion for properties came from.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's interesting because I've been thinking about this prior to this talk, and a lot of the people probably you deal with are fear-based, like limiting beliefs we put on things. But if you've been instilled from a young age, right, that making deals, dealing with money, exposed to things that not maybe everyone, people in their 30s, 40s might go, shit, this is a big deal this right now. But you've been exposed to it from the age of a kid, really.
Yeah.
You're not really fearful of this transaction or this movement. It's like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%. I remember when back in the day it was a lot more cash available, right? Right now it's a lot more plastic.
Yeah.
Even though there is a lot of cash, but back then, like talking like 25, 30 years ago, like a lot of people using cash. And I remember my dad coming home with just cash, right? So I was like used to seeing like a lot of cash.
Yeah.
Right. And then my upbringing wasn't like in terms of a difficult upbringing. I had a pretty privileged upbringing in terms of everything. I had everything, and like most people struggle, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
So it was like I never seen anything. But then when I went on the streets, I had, it just, that allowed me to have a different attitude.
Yeah.
So it was like I had the best of both worlds. So then when I did eventually make the transition and thought, you know what, fuck it, I need to change my life. It was pretty easy for me because I had seen both sides.
Yeah.
And it was very clear and very easy to make a decision.
Yeah, I get that now.
So for me, that's what it was. So that's how I transitioned to, who I am today.
That's a pretty exceptional journey, but we'll pull back a bit on that now. So, you touched on earlier, you've been to prison and stuff. How many years was that?
So I spent 10 years in prison over 2 sentences.
2 sentences?
Yeah, so I done 2 back-to-back sentences.
Shit.
With 3-month gap. Big 3-month gap.
Didn't
learn my lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So what, if you don't mind me asking, what the first scenario, the first time you went in?
I was young. I was 18. I was on streets. It was, we were people in the drugs world. People owe people money. So we thought we were gangsters. We thought, let's go and collect the debt.
Yeah.
Rang the people up, said, you owe us money. What's happening to this? They didn't pay. Just proceeded with violence. Ended up getting nicked. Yeah. Got jail. Come out after, done my time, come out, thought I was just even, I was untouchable at this point, and just started doing the same thing. Wow. Just with a bit more intensity. Yeah. That didn't last long because this time I was a little bit more experienced and a little bit more, the way I was approaching things was like, people wasn't receptive to that. Like, it just wasn't going to go well. And it was just about time I was going to get locked up again. So just being naughty kids again, and then ended up getting whacked again. But it was just in my second sentence when I came, I started thinking, wait a minute, I'm going to come out when I'm like close to 29. Yeah. I need to fix myself up. Like, what's going on? And plus, like, I'm the eldest in my household. So it was like a lot of like responsibility. And then I had a lot of deaths in my family, and then, everything catches up. And he was like, look, Ibby, you really need to fix your shit up. And then in jail, like, I had a few options. Like, I could either go down where, like in every situation, like we've got the outside world, we've got the inside world. In prison, it's the inside world. There's a lot of things go on. So you can literally decide who you want to hang around with. Yeah. So you've got like smackhead crew. Yeah. Then you've got like some people who just focus on the gym and they're just good lads. You got them other ones, they're just idiots. So you've got all sort of different people inside the gym. And I just decided that, you know what, I'm just going to focus on myself, become the best shape I can be. Nice. Work on myself in terms of my mind, reading books. And, I've got all the time in the world to do that here. And just do my good stuff, focus on my health, become, the best I can be. And then when I come out, we'll figure out what we need to do next. So that was my mindset. And that's when everything really shifted in my second sentence. Wow.
Would you say in that, I know you've kind of gone through the stages quite quickly. I know there was probably other parts of it. But if you reflect on like the first time, how long was the first sentence?
8 years.
8 years. 8 years and then come out after 3 months, bro. Like and then jump back in.
Yeah. Like, so when you get 8, you do half.
Half, yeah.
So I've done 4, come out. Yeah. But remember, when I came out this time, you have to understand my mindset. So I'm 23, 24. I'm kind of in the prime of like, just like at the point where I think I know everything. Yeah. Right? And when I don't know nothing. And I don't know any other way to make money. Yeah. Apart from just the guys on the road. So it was like, right, what's going on? Like, let's just jump right into what's really going on up here. So it was like, I didn't even think about anything else.
Yeah, wow. So when you think about that, when I think about that though, I'm like, okay, hang on. We bring it back. Good upbringing. Seems like parents looked after you guys. Yeah. And then you go down this path. It's kind of like, where's this moment of shift? Like, where's this, like, is it like a resentment, or is it like I need to make my own feet, or like a pissed off with the world the moment?
Yeah, or? I mean, yeah, I suppose, because if I think back to it now, it was, I guess, you know what, your environment kind of determines who you kind of going to be. And because I was just coming out of a sentence, and I feel like when I was coming out, everybody was like, oh, Ibby's coming out, Ibby's coming out. And then it was just the attention was coming from the wrong place. Yeah. and you know, I just attracted the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
And I just got, you know, lost into that crowd, and then whatever that crowd was doing, I was involved.
Yeah.
So I don't even think I really got a chance to even sit back and think about it.
Reflect on that, yeah.
Till I got my second sentence.
Yeah.
So everything just happened so quick. I personally, I don't even think I got a chance to think about it. And it is always about making money, because that's what it's about. Like, I'm thinking, oh, well, I need to make money. And if I can see how these guys are making money, and I was like, well, I can do the same thing. Right? You know, I didn't have a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
I was literally in the fight, in the commotion.
Yeah, wow. It's a crazy, and I reckon being in this time of solitude, right? It can either go one way or the other.
Yeah.
And I remember this one time story of Jorge Masvidal. He's a UFC fighter.
Yeah.
And he went on this talent show.
Right.
It was kind of like on an island, no phones, nothing there.
Yeah.
And it was like a 12-week time on this island.
Yeah.
And he said he learned so much of himself in this 12 weeks. Only
Tell
12
me.
weeks of just being alone, no distractions, and getting to know the real him.
That's it. It
Like,
happens.
Yeah, because your environment's gone.
Yep.
It's all about you right now.
Yep.
And I think in those moments then, they're like a pivotal moment for some people. I can reflect on, never went to jail, but you have these moments of time alone and that voice in your head, what's it really saying? Like, because that's the person you want to get comfortable with the most is yourself, right?
Yep.
Normally we're doing it to kind of cover up, or we're trying to, a persona of ourselves to our environment, you know, we're all trying to fit in at some stages of our life, you know, especially early 20s.
Definitely. I mean, look right now, right? Let's just look at the real world, right? What's going on out there right now. So imagine like I'm living my today, 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm stressed about a bill that I need to pay or something. We've got so many distractions. We can just call someone. We can go on TikTok.
Yeah.
We've got social media. There's so many things we can do to stay, just not think of how we're going to resolve this. Where when you're in prison,
Yeah.
right, anything that happens, you have no choice but to sit there and think about what's going on. So it's like you're locked in a room in this like white like cell. It's like you got a bunk bed, you got a toilet there, you got a sink there, and you're sat there thinking, well, I can't order a Deliveroo. I can't order a Uber Eats. I'm limited to what I can eat and drink. I can't just ring somebody right now. I can't watch what I want on TV. Like this was then. I'm sure like later on in years, like there was a lot more options available. And it's like, what do you do? So you just sit there and you have no choice but to go deep.
Yeah.
As much deep as where many people will stay here. So you're forced to go levels below. And that's what forces you to be more creative and think things what you wouldn't even think about in your real life, because it's just so many distractions. So when I started looking at that and started detailing things out, writing things down, journaling, and then it began to like sink in, like, come on, Ibby, man, like these are not your friends. These are like friends friends they push you in the right direction. They don't push you in the wrong direction. So it was a big reality check for me.
Yeah.
For me to see like who the real people are and who are not. And I think it was even in that moment I realized, because I had spent so much time with myself, I realized that I'm happy with my own company. Like I could literally sit here by myself. If I don't have to speak to somebody for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm okay with that. I can deal with it. So I think that came into it as well. And then it's so many things you begin to just layer up a different level of mindset.
Yeah.
You know? And then when you do come out and you see people arguing or having these problems over something, you think that's a problem?
Yeah.
Really? Like, come on.
Your perspective fully changes.
Changes.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. Would you say there's many dudes that coming through that journey are still with you today?
If from the prison?
Well, not if from in the prison, but like people you surrounded yourself with.
I cut everybody off.
Okay,
Yeah, I literally cut every single person off. Like, so when I come out of my second sentence, I still went to the house, and I remember they came to me to greet me because I'd done like a long stretch now. And they came out, and I realized at that point, remember I'm in a different mindset now. And I quickly realized in the first 5 minutes of having a conversation with them that these are just dickheads.
Yeah.
Like, these guys have been doing the same shit day in, day out for the last years, whilst I've been inside reading books, doing training, this and that. So I think at that point I realized that, right, I need to cut myself off from these. And I made an instant decision that I was going to move out of my house.
Yeah.
Because I thought, well, if I'm living here, I'm going to see them.
Yeah.
Right? So what should I do? Okay, I'm going to move out. Yeah. So I moved to, another place. Like, I moved to the city centre.
Nice.
And I thought about, well, who's going to be there? What's my surroundings there? Professionals, just harmless, like students, just normal people who are just cracking on with their normal lives. And it will give me time, and it will give me the space to focus on what I really need to. So I just had to move out of my area. But that was the start
of it. Yeah. Environment is a big one, right? There's two things I look at and I think about a lot is if you're ever trying to change yourself, I think you always start with your physical state.
Yep.
And your environment's the second one.
Yeah.
And then from that, then you can start to shift and figure out what you want to do. What like I think about it as well is it comes down to a lot of what you're naturally gifted at.
Yeah.
You obviously seem like you're a people person. You can talk to people and you can obviously get the best out of them in what you do.
Yeah.
So you understood that in yourself, and that time in solitude, you're like, okay, well, I can enhance this with books, journaling, maybe meditating and training, and then learning more about yourself. And I think I'm talking to you, but I'm like talking to a mirror of myself right now, because that's the truth in it all. Is, bro, the more you learn about yourself, the more you think, okay, well, now I can pass this message on.
So true, and you have to remember, right? So in jail, it's taught me a lot. So you create something called awareness, right? And you get great awareness in jail. I promise you that. Right? Because every 10, 15 minutes, there's something happening. So imagine being in the middle of a war zone in Afghanistan. Yeah. You got people shooting from there, people shooting there. What? You're not going to be sleeping. You can be like, what's going on? Yeah. It's like that in jail. Like when you get some association time, someone's fighting up there. Two smackheads are arguing over some tea bags up there. No, seriously, someone's arguing over some spice. Someone's arguing over showers. Who's getting in the showers? Wow. It's just craziness going on. And so you have to be on your guard. Yeah. Even if you're the most slowest person in the world, you will soon raise your awareness levels will raise. Yeah. The other part of it is that I always say this, there's awareness and there's others awareness. Others awareness is being aware of how other cultures operate.
100%.
Because they're just totally different awareness. It's mixed people in there. Yeah. Chinese, from European, from black, Asian, everything in prison.
Do they so do they all go to kind of find your tribe sort of thing, and people kind of circle it, or is it not really like that?
People do navigate towards that, but a little bit, but it's not like America. Gangs are just no, it's not that. For example, if I went in, I know most lads from all areas. Yeah. So he's hey, what's happening? But if it's just someone who's just come in, because there was a few people that were Chinese and they couldn't speak English. And there was about 6 of them, and they got, I remember on the wing, they were sticking together because they felt comfort there. There was an Asian people that come in, they couldn't speak English, 6, 7, so they'll stick together because they're not going to come and speak to me or someone because we don't want to understand what they're saying. Yeah. So it's you just... you're a solid lad, so if you went in there and be what's happening, then people will be interested in speaking to you because you're just a good lad. You can handle yourself, and you can, you're just doing you're just real. Appreciate so that. It's all about your personality and who you are, but it's not blacks only chill with blacks. No, it's not like that. In the jails that I went in, yeah.
What was the second service? What did you go in for the second time,
bro? It was the same. It was kidnapping, blackmail.
Yeah, wow.
Just but this time it was a bit more of a conspiracy.
Ah, okay.
Because it was 5 of us. So we inflicted a bit of violence on this guy, and then it was, it was more of what I'd done, but just a bit more with a bit more intensity.
How do you shift your identity then? Because I know for a fact, if I reflect on people from where I grew up, some of these dudes have changed their life and they're doing business, this, that, and the other. But there's always this crop of people that will go, oh, remember when he was so-and-so, the so-and-so? Yeah. And I'm it frustrates me, right? Because people can change their life, but some of these people are still stuck in the past. So it's obviously you're not going to do business with these people. But it's it's a shame sometimes where people can change their whole life, but some people have still got this thing on holding on to this past identity.
Yeah, I mean, look, people get their identity from society. I always say that. Like, people don't even know who they really are, right? And, you know, it's all programming from when you're born, and from, you know, if you're born in a certain environment, you're going to have certain beliefs. So if you don't, as you are growing older, if you don't challenge them beliefs, I'm not saying change them, I'm saying if you don't challenge them, you're never going to know who you really are.
Yeah.
You're just never going to know. Like, if I'm born in a Muslim household and someone's born in a Christian house, we believe them things and we just stay there. We're never going to know who we really are. So you have to challenge every single thing till you eventually become who you are, and then you figure out what's happening. And this is where you have to be, this is where personal development comes in, right? You have to work on yourself so much, and it's a constant thing that where, you know, you begin to realize things. And, you know, like I say to people, like, people say to me when they say to me, like, you've changed. I'll say I have changed. Thanks, right? I'm not the same person I was 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So we have to look at it like that. Like, after this podcast, like, I would have, you know, a great conversation. I would have learned something. Hopefully you would have learned. I'm a different person walking out of it.
Yeah.
I'm a different person tonight if I'm really on it, switched on, and deal with things. So you have to be constantly bettering yourself. And people that live in the past will stay in the past.
Yeah, 100%. So true. And it's a good mentality to have, and do what you're doing, man. It's great, man, because it shows that you can grow, you can evolve, you can, you know, it's so easy for someone, like I see this even with, sports athletes.
Yeah.
Like so many of them, right, when they've got a purpose and they're very physical people, they'll go 100 miles per hour about it. But when they lose that purpose, some of them go down a path that is not who they are. But it's like the personality trait is a 0 or 100. So they're going to go 100 to this if that's a goal. And then if it's, okay, this environment in right now, I'm going to go 100 to this. So it plays a massive part. But it's amazing to see that people can change, and you're the proven facts on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're constantly trying to be better every single day, right? But they say, right, that when things are good, prepare for when things are not good.
Yeah.
That doesn't just mean financially. That means if your career is going good right now, well, soon it might not be. So what are you going to do when it's not? So you have to look at life not in a year, 2 years, 3 years. You have to really look at it over a 50-year cycle or 70-year cycle and be like, right, how am I operating this, you know, a business or this life? How am I going to plan it out properly? People don't look at it that way.
Nah, they look at just in front of their feet normally.
Yeah, like a year, 2 year, 5, maybe 10. Like, I mean, I remember Jeff Bezos, right? The guy who runs Amazon. He was at a conference a few years back, and somebody asked him that, what's your forecast for this year? And he said, this year, we've done that 3 years ago. He said, this year we're forecasting what's happening in 2026 or 27. Right? So it's like people have to look at things like that.
Yeah.
But the more I talk about it, the more you talk about it, the more the people do it, people will begin to, you know, realize that.
100%. So when you come out then, Ib,
yeah,
you know, what was the thought process then? What was going on? It was like, I need to get into something now, or is it like, because essentially, man, most of your 20s, you were
inside.
Yeah. So your environment then, coming out to like the normal life, you know, it's a lot of things, movements happening there.
100%. I mean, look, because I had seen both sides, for me, it was so easy to switch up. Like, I knew exactly where I wanted, which part of the fence I wanted to be on. It was literally like, make your money, make some sort of impact, grow your business, make a business, create a business, do something in the business world, and bring the personal development into it. I obviously came out, moved down my area. I opened my first business, which was a restaurant business. I learned a lot from there. I hired coaches. I realized straight away that when you approach the best people in the industry, because I approached people, I said, look, can I spend an hour with you? I literally done that. And they were saying like, yeah, £1,000 an hour. I was so offended. I was like, what? Why are they charging me £1,000? Do they not want to help? But they were so levels above. Yeah. Like, they understood the mentality. Yeah. Like, and you know how it is. If you give somebody something for free, they just don't value it.
100%.
So it was hiring mentors, coaches. I invested in myself. I went on courses, learned about business, learned about money, learned about finance, learned about how the Wi-Fi money works, learned about everything that you know I needed to know. I went and learned from the right people.
Nice.
don't get me wrong, like I've spent hundreds of grands on programs and courses and personal development. I would say there was 50% which didn't serve me as much as I thought it did, but it served me in other ways because it taught me so much. So it always serves you.
Yeah.
Just the return on investment wasn't as I thought it would have been.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's just the way it goes. And then opened a restaurant business, made money from that, opened another one, made money from that, lost money. Then from there, I made a lot of money, went into properties, learned about the property game. Then from there, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to stick with property, but I'm going to sell off my restaurants. And I don't like that game. I've learned a lot from that. I'm going to go into the coaching space because I've learned a lot about business, money, and this and that. I can teach somebody.
Teach someone that.
So now I'm at the point where, you know, I work with coaches and agency owners and consultants and business owners, and I literally help them scale their business. So we'll come in, audit their business and see how we can scale that for you.
Nice.
So that's where I am now.
Amazing.
So, and then I have a podcast as well. Yeah.
Love that, brother. Love that.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the restaurants, I'm quite interested in this one because what are the lessons, like the pros and cons on a restaurant? Because you probably got a fair amount of staff.
Yep.
You're dealing with quality of food, you know, clean, cleanliness of the business and the turnovers, X, Y, and Z. You know, in a restaurant, it's so many. I've seen a chef's kitchen, bro, and I'm like, screw that.
Yeah. Look, it's like what you have to do is like when you're operating a big restaurant with, let's say you've got 50 plus employees, there's HR, so there's laws, there's rules you have to follow. You have to make sure your health and safety is up to standard. You have to make sure that you put the right contracts in place. You have to make sure that you have to be constantly giving people training. Nice. Imagine dealing with 50 people, right? It's not easy. Nah. So it's about you have to decide as a leader. And this took me time to realize this. Initially, I was frustrated. Like, why are they not doing what I'm doing? Why can they not do it the way I do it? But, you know, when I went to coaches and mentors, they said to me, look, Ibby, they're not you. Yeah. You're dealing with different people. So try to become somebody who can get the best out of them. Yeah, but in order for you to do that, you have to, instead of being stressed about it, sit down with them, go and spend some time with them as a leader, as a boss, and be like, what do you like? Yeah. Right? And I realized is that most like people that I was working with, it's not even about pay. They might just want a Sunday off. Yeah. They might just want a late start. Yeah. They might just, you know, so it's about understanding who they are, what their goals are, and based on their individual situations, then you create, you know, jobs and tasks for them that where, you know, they will be as happy as they can be. And then you have to do loads of different things, like you have to have a good culture. So with staff, you have to realize that there's different things that go into it, right? So you have to almost treat them like kids. Or he's a naughty kid, or she's not naughty, or she's a bit like she gets off up there. Like when it's busy, she gets off to the toilets. Yeah, so you have to realize who everybody is and and then work to their advantage. Yeah. It's almost a game. It is. Right, but then it's what line you want to cross. How strict do you want to be? Yeah. Do you want to play a bad cop? Because it's not just me. Remember, there's other managers as well. Yeah. So there's ways you can tactically do things. Like imagine me and you are partners, and I'd be like, right, okay, you sit them down and give them a bollocking. Yeah. And then I'll come in tomorrow and bring them a box of chocolates.
So this is that bit of that,
right? So it's all things that go on. Yeah. Where, like, you have to keep them sweet, but you also have to let them know that you can't cross these lines.
Boundaries, isn't it?
Boundaries, and it's a funny place. And then it's, you know, you're dealing with younger staff. Yeah. Because waitresses and waiters and these sort of people, they're not going to make a career out of this.
They're just here for this moment right now.
Students,
they might go
money. Yeah. So it's then they've got no commitment. They've got no loyalty. Yeah. So then how do you deal with somebody like that? It's a constant challenge. Yeah. So, you know, there's so many things like we used to, for example, sack one person a month. Intentionally, like if you're not performing at a good level, you're gone. What that does was it shook everybody else up. Yeah. So it's so many things that go into it. that people are probably thinking like, what was this guy doing? But listen, at the end of the day, if you've never had a business, you've got no room to speak, first of all. And if you have got a business, you will understand what I'm talking about. When you're dealing with 40, 50 employees, it's like having 50 kids at home. What are you going to do? So you have to, everything is a strategy, everything is a game. And as long as everybody is happy to some extent, and then, you know, the business runs smoothly. And I remember this, right? And when I used to do the interviews always, and it got to a point now where I used to tell them in the interview, this is not Smurfland.
Yeah.
You're going to have stressful days. You're going to have days you cry. Yeah. You're going to have days you laugh. I used to literally say that to them. So they know from the very first interaction with me, they know what to expect. Then I used to put them through a trial process to see if they're good enough. Yeah. There's so many things that you have to do in order to,
I think as well from that, I totally agree with everything you said, but I think sometimes it comes, you can just tell straight away, like they could probably give you the CV, but the real thing is like, you can tell in their personality.
You can persona,
you'd be like, and if you can read people pretty well, your gut normally tells you sometimes.
Your gut tells you, but you know, these days kids, and I'm telling you, they are so good at playing the innocent. What's you know, why do you want this job? Because, you know, I want to earn some money. I want to do it for my family. They're so good at playing the game these days, the kids. I'm telling you, like, so what I used to do was I used to do the interview. My gut instinct, if it allowed me to put them on the trial process, I'd put them, give them a chance. And then what I would do is I'll put them on an induction for like 2 weeks. And I'll examine them on the last week of the last 3 days.
Yeah, okay.
And then I'll compare that to the first 3 days.
Where are they at?
And we'll know where they are.
Yeah, I like that. Smart that is.
Do you get it?
Yeah, bro. Because obviously that energy at the start. Yeah. So actually they've been in the trenches for a bit.
And we leave traps for them. Yeah. So we would intentionally leave traps for people.
Yeah.
To see if they've realised something. And with other thing with restaurant is we used to get secret diners in. So I could pay you. Yeah. Like, you need to go and eat at the restaurant. Go in as a normal customer. Go and do what you're doing. These are the checklists you need to do. Like, you need to check if the members of staff smiled. What was the first thing they said? What was the last thing they said? Right? I get that. So it was that thing going on. But that was a really good one because that was anonymous. Like, and then it was like we used to get feedback. Yeah. And that was brilliant. Yeah. And you could tell from that as well. Like, that's one thing I've noticed of customer service. So I've been, like I said, told you earlier, I've been in Australia the last 11 years. And then I come over in January to the UK now. And I've noticed customer service over here. Like, if you just go to Tesco's or something like that, it's not like, hey, how are you doing? Or how's your day been? Or this, that, they're welcoming. It's like, boom, grab your parcel, scan it out. And like, you want to feel as if like you're being valued as a customer, as a client is so important. 100%.
You want to build this relationship. Some people are so, you know, particular about what shop they go for groceries. Yeah. And it could come down to the customers just being like the staff member just saying, smiling, or, hey,
honestly,
how you doing?
And customer service is massive and is hugely important. People don't pay attention to that, you know, as much as they should. But customer service, everything. I remember, like, even like how old are you? 30, right? Yeah. So I'm 35. And even like when I was growing up and when I was going places, people knew you from your first name, right? It was more of like, oh, I remember you, and that would make your day. Yeah. And you would go back in that place because of that reason. Yeah. But now it's like, it's all different with AI and 100%. With so much things that are coming, you know, happening. Like, it's like they intentionally want to, you know, keep us away from that sort of community vibe, and, you know.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you said that because there's a book, you might have read it, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
And it talks about in the book how, for instance, the most powerful thing we can call each other is by our name. Yep. I don't know about you. Have you ever been called the wrong name before? I have. And it's the most degrading feeling ever. Hey, Steve. You're like, Steve? Who the fuck's Steve? But it's powerful. But if you hear your own name, like if someone says, Ollie, how you doing? Or I haven't seen you in a while, and they check in. Yeah. You're like, wow, I want to work for you.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And when you're going back to what you said with staff earlier, like, it's an interesting when we're learning people's personality traits. For instance, you know, some people you might have to put your arm over the shoulder and give them a bit of support. But some people you got to give them, you know, hey, pull your head in you. Come on, mate. And learning that about people is a
100%. And that has to be done. And if you are the type of person who doesn't like to do that, then employ someone to do that. Because towards the end, like, I wasn't like too much of a friendly guy, like in terms of like, I'm going to put your hand. So I employed like a few operation managers to sit down and speak with them and become a therapist.
Nice.
Because you have to be a therapist sometimes. I just couldn't do that because I had no like tolerance for bullshit or that sort of thing. So I knew my strengths.
Nice.
So I was just focusing on my strengths and let them crack on with the other stuff. So you know, for business owners that are watching, it's just really important. Like, there's a lot that goes into like running a business. Like, it's different when you've got one staff or two. When you've got like a lot, it's a completely different ball game you're dealing with.
So how do you, for instance, then you deal with, if you've got 50 staff, right? You've only got so much energy every day as well.
Yeah.
How are you not preventing burnout? How are you looking at yourself?
Very good question. And initially it was burnout. Initially it was like I was involved in the business. Initially it was like I was doing a lot of like running around like a headless chicken. But then obviously, remember, I had mentors, I had coaches, and they were explaining to me that, Ibby, in order to run a business, you have to not work in the business. You have to work on the business because you're a creative guy. It's your business. So you have to look at it from a bird's eye view. And you won't be able to do that if you're in the commotion. So that's when I hired, COOs and, operating managers and brought, senior managers in. And so, we trained them up to do our job. And then when I started doing that, I could then take a step back and, focus on more creative side of the business and look at it like, right, okay, how are we going to scale that and do more like fun stuff. And so to answer your question is basically you have to employ people who are going to fit them roles in. And in most cases, you're going to probably have to employ two people that's going to fit one role, which is you.
Yeah. Get that.
And so then I started doing that, and then it took me away from the business once I understood from my coaches as well, like how you have to scale a business, what you have to do. Then we put systems in place, good systems, where if I was to go away, it still runs. I'm not stressed about it.
Nice.
So, but this was all like learning on the job.
Nice.
And then it was just years in when I just got to a point where I thought, look, I'm making good money.
Nice.
But I'm not passionate. Like, I'm not impacting like the way I want to, because I think I'm a natural teacher kind of. I like doing that sort of stuff. So it was like, okay, what can I do? So because I learned everything from my business, my properties, and then jail, built my mindset up, and it was like, right, you know what? I want to go all the stuff that you've learned as a business person. I want to teach that to business owners.
Nice. To
help them understand like how they can get out of their business and how they can then scale it in a proper way. So I think that's when I transitioned into that then.
Awesome, that is. I love that. It's such a good way of looking at it. It's one thing I've noticed even in myself, right? If you run a business or you're passionate about it, it's no one's ever going to be as passionate. Like if you got workers working for you, like they're never going to give you as much as 100% you give every day. Like you'll do extra hours. You'll do that 1 extra %. Like unfortunately, it's hard to find the same drive in you to someone else unless they've got that deep desire in themselves. And it's good to see that. But then I'm going to ask you about the property game. Obviously, your dad was in it.
Yep.
So there's something in there into that space. The way the property is right now with interest rates going up and everything, is it a good stage to get into property? Or
massively
is it
good place, yeah. So because you have to remember when interest rates are going up, you have to understand like when people are buying, when they bought like 20 years ago, people don't buy it from a long-term angle. Like they don't look at it from a long view, right? So, and a lot of people didn't predict COVID. A lot of people didn't predict interest rates going up. And it's all happened in the since COVID times, everything's just gone all weird and crazy, right? When there's problem, there's always an opportunity as well. So right now, because the interest rates are high, for a middle class guy who's earning a certain amount of money, they're living on credit cards, their interest rate, their mortgage rates are coming to an end, end, they're panicking. Because they are either gonna downsize or think, well, I've been paying £200 or £300 for the last few years, so many years, 10 years or 15 years. What's going to happen now? Am I going to start paying £500? So they're at this moment questioning all this. Right? So it's very difficult for them sort of people. But for somebody who's an investor, who's there to take up opportunities, this is a brilliant time to buy. This is the best time to buy right now. And even this year and next year, like you watch the opportunities that come up, like people are going to panic sell. So if you are an investor or if you got your head screwed on and be like, I want to get into the property and build some serious wealth, this year and next year and even probably even going into 2025 are the perfect times to snap up properties, because remember, property is not going to make you money like in a year. You have to look at everything over a 10, 15, 20 year cycle. It's the best time to buy. I'm telling my guys, like, if you got money sat in the bank, there is opportunities and bargains to be had right this second.
Yeah, it's good that is. It's a great way to look at it. And like you said, if you're looking on a long-term trajectory, you're in a smart place. Because I've been looking at a few at the moment. I've actually looking at HMO, social housing, though.
Yeah.
Up north. And I thought about it because essentially it's like I see it as a safe plan.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to a social housing. It's 5 years locked in.
Yeah.
And it just turns over itself then.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to live in it one day. I'm seeing it as
again, you know, when you purchase a property, you have to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where the property is. It doesn't matter, you know, what you're doing with it. At the end of the day, if you're buying something for 100, you're spending 100 on it. If the end value is 300, as long as you're in positive, it's a good deal. So every deal, you have to assess it by each deal. Yeah. You have to look at the numbers. What's the rent I'm going to get from here? Because even though the interest rates are high, rents have gone high. So people now are, you know, going into more rooms, HMO spaces, which means that it's more demand for that sort of thing. There's always going to be a demand for housing in UK because they're just short every year. They're not building enough. Right? So you can't go wrong with property. But what I always say to people is don't get carried away with property. Make sure you make your money in business first. So what I would say is that whoever's listening to this, if they've got a business, think how you're going to scale that business first. So if you're making 10 grand a month, make 20 grand a month, 30 grand, 40 grand. Once you start scaling that business to a point, put your attention there first. Get the money coming in and then invest into property.
Nice.
Because when you buy property, it ties your money up. It literally, like, I've got like hundreds of grand right now tied up in property.
Which you can't get out of.
Which I can get out. I have to sell or I have to refinance or I have to do something in order to get it. And that takes time.
Of course.
It's not liquid.
Yeah.
Where people need to be focusing on right now is cash flow.
Yeah.
Make your money, scale your current businesses. Learn how you can do that. Get your cash flow coming in. And then from that cash flow, think about what properties am I going to buy that are going to produce me maximum cash flow. Rather than buying something and then just get stuck in it. Don't do that. You've got plenty of time to buy properties. Like I've made these mistakes. I went into the different game, and then even though my dad knew about properties, he'd done it the old school way.
Okay.
So I still had to go and learn and educate myself all these new strategies. There's about 6-7 different strategies. There's rent to rent, there's service accommodation, there's BRRs, there's flips, there's assisted sale. There's so many.
What have you found is you've found most joy out of?
For me, I think where I found the most joy out of is when I do a property up to a really, really good standard, and I know that whoever's going to come in here, they're going to have no problems, electrician problems, plumbing problems. They can stay. I've not done a cowboy job. I've done a really good job. I've overspent 5 grand, but I budgeted for that. Nice. I think what makes me happy is that when I know he's going to go to someone who's going to have a home to live in.
Nice.
So just that feeling of doing that part. Like I'm not a fan of buying something for 100k, just whacking a paint job on it. Bro, if people that do that, you're bound to get some problems in a few years' time. Just strip it all down. Do it properly. Yes, it's going to cost you 10 grand more, but guess what? It's not going to give you no headache for 10, 15 years.
Down the track, you're going to be paying that back in other assets. Yeah.
So, like that's my route, I always say. But for me, I do the BRRs and the flips now. Nice. Which is, because I'm generating a lot of money from my mentoring, and then I just whack that in there.
Straight into it then. So passive incomes.
That's all I do. And my business clients that I have, I show them how they can get into the property game just like I did.
Like that, mate.
So it's like I'm hitting 2 markets there because I know them. I'm like, look, you're making money anyway. What are you doing with it?
Let's be smart with it.
Forget the S&P 500 for now. Forget the crypto. Forget this. Put it in property.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. So I showed them a way they can do that. But there's a lot of misinformation out there, Ollie.
Yeah,
like people will hear something and be like, oh, I want to do property. Well, wait a minute. There needs to be a proper strategy applied.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's not right for you to do that at this stage, but there's no rush. Like, it again comes back to what I originally said. If you look at things over 50, 60, 70 years, what's the rush?
Yeah, exactly. That's true. We're all, so many people out there are impatient though, right?
Promise you.
So, like they want to get rich now, or they want it, they want everything now. But I think that comes back down to, like the social media plays a part in that.
It does. But look, on the flip side, right, it is the most easiest time and the most, like, right now, if someone wanted to really make 20, 30 grand a month, like, it's not difficult. If you put the actual work in, if you get around the right people and put a proper strategy together, yes, it's going to be something to do with online and monetizing your skill. I'm talking in that world. Like, it's not hard to make. I promise you, like, even between 100 grand a month, it's not hard. You just have to be in the right places and understand exactly what you need to do. And it's not hard to make that money these days now.
So where would you say you learned that aspect from? Being around the right environment, and is that reading books again?
Bro, no, I read books, but my first big thing was I paid 40 grand to be in a room.
Wow.
Right? I was in this room. I went in with my intention was I'm going to go in this room, work out, figure out how to make my first £1 million. Only to walk into that room and everybody in that room is talking about how I'm going to make £1 million this month.
Wow.
Bro, you can imagine the light bulb moment in my head. Like, it was a switch, and I'm scratching my head. I'm thinking, whoa, I'm playing a different game. And it was the network of people. I sat down with them. I understood what they was doing, how they was like, £1 million a month. Yeah. Like, some people are £1 million a week. And the conversation was so fluent and just so natural. I'm like under pressure thinking, well, wait a minute. Well, I'm just clearly doing something wrong. This is where it pisses me off when people don't want to pay for mentors. And so, bro, like, I remember in that group, like, my mentor said to me, stood on the stage and he said, each of you, if you don't know how to make £1 million this year, it's costing you £1 million not to know. Each year you don't know that. Bro, I had to hear it twice and I thought, whoa. So if somebody doesn't know how to make £1 million, it's costing you not to know.
100%.
So, and that was a big, there was a few moments and it was like, wow. And then that's when I got a bit more obsessive with learning about personal development, learning about different coaches and understanding like how the different levels, how the different coaches do it. So there's like normal coaches that do just normal stuff. Then there's another level to it. And then there's the big boys like Tony Robbins and them lot. They have a different business model. So, I remember like I was blessed with a little bit of money. I raised a little bit of money. I made a bit of money. So I invested in the right places.
Nice.
Like I had, bro, some of the like places I've invested is like almost like paying for a house. Wow, right? Yeah. Without going into like super details. And it was in them places like I learned the game. So now like what I'm doing is really essentially helping people do the same stuff.
Do the same.
And just help them like, if someone's making 10 grand, like I can help them make 20. If you're making 20, I can help you make 30. If you're making 30, I can help you make 40. I promise you, it's not that difficult. It's just you need think big.
Yeah.
Have a bit more belief in yourself.
Yeah.
Have a bit more structure. Get good habits. Get your personal development up to scratch. You're on the right path.
On the right path, brother. Yeah, I believe with that. I believe and I totally agree with that. And that's the hard thing as well. But one thing I've learned as well, and I did this probably with my first ever mentor, I think I went in there with a mindset of, oh, he's going to fix it all. Yeah. You've got to do the work, brother.
Like, of course you do. Of course you do.
I remember the first time I was like, okay, I paid for this. So you're like, an exchange in value is an exchange in money, but at the same time, he's giving you the tools. You still got to do the work. He ain't gonna take you to these places and drop you and do the talk for you. You've
Absolutely
got to
not.
do the talk.
No. But this is the thing, right? Like, with you, if you don't pay a lot of money, you're not going to pay attention. So if you've spent 10 grand to be in a room, bro, your wife's not going to let you get away with it. You're going to be in that room.
You ain't going to be late either.
Your phone's going to be on flight mode.
Yeah.
You are going to pay attention.
Yep.
the problem is that when you're doing a few £100 products, people are not going to show up.
Yeah,
it just is what it is. So it's like if you pay like a certain amount of money, you have to pay attention because that's life-changing decisions you're making.
Yeah.
The other problem with a lot of coaches I've realized is that they'll give people the script, but they won't help them become the person who can do the thing. This is the biggest problem.
Well, that should be your part. That's a part I see as being a mentor. Is like you're giving them the script, but you're supporting them. You're giving them structure. You're giving them accountability.
Yeah, but they don't.
Weekly basis.
They don't though, because this is like most. I'm talking like most, like 80, 90% of mentors, coaches. What they will do is they will give you the script, but they won't help you become the person who can do the thing. They will just not do that. So, for example, like I'll give you an example. So, like one of our programs, I know if I give people a game, give them a script, say, look, do this, 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 and this, and you'll earn your first 20 grand a month, for example, let's just say. I know that probably they've got bad habits. There's certain things they've not fixed up. So what I do is, a part of my programs, I put them on a transformational program. So I work with them so heavy on working out and gym and all that stuff, because I know as soon as I fix this stuff, they'll fix that themselves.
Yes, building the foundations right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where most coaches, because they have bad habits, but they have the knowledge, they're very smart people, but they have bad habits, so they can't do that part.
Yeah.
So this is where I always say personal development and business are connected.
Yes, so true. It's like, I mean, how I look at that analogy then, when you said it, it's like when you go to a doctor. You go to a doctor, and if you're going to have surgery or if you've got an issue, you go to the doctor. Yeah. And he's ballooned out and he's a big fella behind the other side. It's hard to take advice off someone who's not someone you want to become.
Exactly.
And that's so true that you say that. And it's so true that...
But this is where most are not doing that.
Yeah. Well, if you had a real fat mentor...
Yeah.
And he's going, you need to get to the gym in the morning, yada, yada. And you're like, brother, when did you go to the gym last time? Like, you got to lead by example, right?
That's all you have to do. And they can't say that. And because they have so many bad habits. And I say this to... And one of the coach, Bedros Keuilian, he says this all the time. He says... You subconsciously we tell ourselves lies every single day, white lies, and it starts from the morning when you just press that snooze.
100%.
Right? You've already lied to yourself. Now you've turned up at your first meeting late. Now you've turned up to the gym. You've done that less rep. Now you've not ate right. Now you've not took your protein before whatever you was doing. So it's so much accumulation that's happening before even half a day is over. How are you showing up as a mentor at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, teaching your people something when you don't even believe it yourself? This is why, like, every single day on my stories, I put up my gym thing every day.
Nice.
Do you know how many messages I get from people saying, "Are you a PT?" I'm like, brother, I'm not a PT.
I get that.
I bet I could monetize that. I'm not a PT, but what I'm doing is, I'm showing them by example, like, look, if I'm preaching it, I'm doing it. And you know what it is with people? Like, what people will do is if they see you as a role model, see you as a leader, and see you cheat on something, boom, it's given them the perfect reason to fuck their shit up.
Yeah.
So I don't even allow for that.
100%. That's so true, that is. It's like, you're saying one thing, but you're doing another. I like that mentality, man. It's a great way of looking at life. And like you said, it also, like I just said to the start, it all starts from the body first, though. If you can shift their physical shape, because a lot of people, right, are burnt out. They put loads of hours into their business. Yeah. They've ignored their personal relationship. Personal development, their physical shape. So it's like a chair. It's like essentially like a chair. You need to support the 4 legs of a chair. 100%. But if you have devoured and put all the weight on one leg and all the other 3 a week, it's going to give way. So you've got to build the fundamentals. And then from that, then, like, you walk more confident, you talk more confident, you act with confidence. There you go. And then before you know it, these things that we count as fear are not fear anymore. Bro, 100% bang on. And when I have these conversations with some business owners in their 40s, and they're not bothered about the gym and this and that. Yeah. And I'm like, brother, just listen to me. Like, you're 40 now, you've got a backache, your knees are hurting, right? Do you want to live till like 70, 80, 90? Like, if you just spend some time on gym, on reading books, on good habits, on eating right, educating yourself on what's going to make you perform at your good level.
I said, you're going to show up better. You're going to close more deals.
Yeah.
You're going to show up with more clarity. You're going to have more, attitude, more respect, more. You're going to close more when you're turning up at a table. People are going to respect you more. And not only that, it's going to increase your lifespan, which means that you're going to end up doing more deals over the long run. So stop like looking at it in a different way, because people ask me, like I've said this before on podcasts, like, Ibby, how does going to the gym make me the money? Like, I don't understand, like, me going and lifting weights or doing power cleans is going to make me money. And I say to them, look, that's not what's going to make you the money. It's the person you become in the process.
Yeah.
That's going to eventually make you the money, get you the deals, and do everything else for you.
Interesting you say that. Have you heard the book 7 Habits? It's by Steve Covey, and he talks. It's just there. I've been reading at it, and he talks in the book, right, about this farmer, and he talks about the farmer and the goose that lays the golden eggs. So every day, right, he's on the farm, and every day the goose is laying golden eggs. So he goes up there, and the farmer's like, "Wow, I've hit jackpot." So he starts selling the golden eggs at the markets, making millions. So every day it lays one golden egg, does it over and over again. And then over time, the farmer gets impatient. He wants more than one egg. So what he does one day, he gets a knife, he cuts the goose open and hopes that there's loads of golden eggs in there. But there's actually no golden eggs in there. So after that day, the goose is dead. He's never getting any more golden eggs again. And he's never making any more money from that. So what the learning factor was from that is, you can't just be driven on the career. You've got to build the whole circle, like a circuit. So in that circuit is building the processes, is looking after yourself, looking after relationships with your staff. From that, then the production line works smoother.
Honestly.
But people just go, boom, chase the clout, chase the end product, but they don't want to remember the processes to get you there, the habits to get you there. And number one habits is, I think, is who you are, is you know, the respect you have for yourself. And people, like Jordan Peterson talks about making your bed in the morning and training, and some people get into the cold plunges. Like, it sounds silly, but it works, man. It really does work.
So eloquently put there, right? And everything in life is be, do, have, right? People want to
see the top.
No, that says don't be. I've got one for that as well, but this says don't be consistent, and I'll explain that later. But everything's be, do, have, but people want to have everything quick. Yeah.
So what you're saying then?
So everything in life that you do, everything in life is be, do, have. Right? People want to have everything fast without doing anything. And I always say that if you use them principles in life, in everything you want to do, become first the person, then do the thing, and you will have what you've worked for.
Yeah.
And it's same with anything and everything you can apply that to. And, you know, if you're not going to become, you're not going to do. And if you're not going to do, you're not going to have. And I always use this principle in every single thing in life. It works. And the becoming phase is part of your identity.
Yeah.
The doing part is part of your action, activity. And then the having part, you will have what you've become and done.
Yeah.
Apply that to everything in life. Life's not difficult, guys. Just apply these basic principles and watch how everything skyrockets.
I love that. And it's interesting you said that then. I think another one on with that, which correlates with that, is serving as well.
Yeah.
I think I get that from... I'm religious, and I think part of being a Christian is like acts of service, helping others.
Yeah.
I think if we think more about helping others,
Yeah.
it comes back around like a...
Of course it does.
It comes back around. But if we come in there, what's my intention here? What am I getting out of this? Take. The universe doesn't work that way.
No. And everything's about serving. And most people that are listening to this, and we serve people without even knowing we're serving. So why not, you know, sort yourselves out and serve people in the right way where they benefit and they walk away happy, and you walk away happy because it benefits you as well, and you earn money from it. Like how, like best, you can't have a better relationship.
So true.
People don't, you know, just see that. So but it comes back to, like, you know, you have to have coaches. You have to have mentors. Like, think about, you know, you're big into rugby, right? Think about all the big players. Think about LeBron James, right? He does the coaches. Ronaldo, they've got coaches. Messi, coaches. And it gets to a point where they're only helping you 0.6%, 0.1%. But that is going to get you from 5 million to 10 million. But in the initial stages, like, you have to have mentors, you have to have coaches, because that's how we all learn.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever seen a dog train itself? No,
Never.
like, it doesn't. Like, we all humans, we get trained by.
Yeah.
We learn from people.
I think the ego is a part of that as well. Our ego doesn't want to be taught, especially men.
Yeah.
We have this pride about us, like, tell me what to do. Don't tell. It's not. I'm not telling you what to do, man. It's like you consistently. If you ask yourself the question, if you continue on this path right now, where do you see yourself in 3 to 6 or 12 months? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, well, you need to make some changes then. Okay, so it's like, humble yourself, take our ego out of it. And I think that's the key. Even I've seen that in my sports days, even what I'm doing now is like, we've got to check ourselves.
100%. And egos, they have to, egos is a very dangerous thing. And if people are talking about having egos and, they're not financially where they are, then, that's the biggest ego of all. Like you humble yourself, like really get, like, if imagine like Elon Musk walked in here right now, like, no matter how big of an ego somebody's got, like, you would sit down and pay attention to this man, because he's done a lot and you can learn something from him. So, and it's like that with, people, like, again, it comes back to your environment. Doesn't it? Like, if me and you are hanging around together and, we're always talking about bettering ourselves and, we want to do better and we want to learn something from him and them, and we will end up going down that route. Yeah. But if somebody is going home and their missus is telling them, oh, no, you can't, don't spend too much money up there, or someone saying, what, coaches, mentors, what's all that about? Like, people literally, this is so true, people literally will put more money on their rim wheels or put it on their trainers than put it in their own brain.
Yeah.
Like, people will literally do that. Like, I think we're programmed to believe that, everything else is so good but us. Yeah. Like, they don't understand the biggest investment you can make is in this mind.
100%.
But it's for our job to deliver that message and get some hate and keep pushing through.
Yeah.
Even if one or two people listen, at the end of the day, we do things because we want people to change their lives.
I think massively, I totally agree with all that. And I reflect on it on myself. It's like, it comes again down to being comfortable with yourself and being okay to be different as well.
Yep.
Like, you gotta, I think parts of this journey, even reflect on myself, is a lot of lonely times in that as well. And you gotta be accepting that, like, you're gonna be misunderstood, but I see where I want to go.
Listen, like, misunderstood is the part that goes with it. I mean, if you see, what we have to all ask ourselves is, what game do you want to play? If you want to play everyone else's game, then you carry on doing what everyone else is doing. If you want to play the elite game, if you want to become like a different breed, well, then everything you do, people will tell you you're doing wrong. Because everyone will say, oh, you've changed. What's happened to you? Are you okay? Like, we're not understanding. That's fine. Like, you don't want people, you need to be then in a space of misunderstood, because only you know what you're doing. Yeah. Like, think about it, like all the greatest in the world, right? Like, if you actually think about it, like the best and the elites, they all made sacrifices.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, who do you want to be? And if you want to be average or just above average, that's fine. Yeah. If you're happy with that, you do that. That's fine. But then don't complain about somebody who is doing really well and because they've just took them a little bit more sacrifices, or they've done things a little bit more differently. But look, everything is going to have a cost. Yeah. You have to decide personally, like, what cost are you willing to take on compared to, something else. So it's a personal thing.
100%. If I was to say to you then, and for the listeners, what would be your top 3 books to recommend to someone?
This is a very good question, right? And it used to be, I used to say Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this, that, and other. When people